Catholics getting over $2 billion for refugee resettlement. Bill?
So are we saying it's God's fault? I'm curious.
We've got a lot to cover this hour. Good morning.
I'm going to have to go to confession.
Denver, Colorado. It's 9 a.m. in the Mile High City on this Monday, November 17th, 2025. And you've tuned in to the Jeff and Bill Show, News Talk 710 KNUS. I'm your co-host, Jeff Hunt, along with Bill Thorpe, bringing you the freshest insights, hottest takes from the right, left, and center. If you remember Friday, we had an interesting conversation with a student and his pastor about the treatment they were receiving from Regis University on, brace yourself, sharing the gospel of Jesus.
Yeah, on campus. So evangelizing on campus, outside of class.
Terrible. What were you thinking? Should not do that, apparently. Let's go back to the phone line. Stacy in Denver. Good morning, Stacy. You're on with Jeff and Bill.
Morning, Stacy.
Hi, guys. I'm told that one of you went to CCU. Is that correct?
One of us worked for him. The other one was a student. I was the student. Jeff was employed by them.
Jeff was employed and you were the student. Okay,
yeah,
so
not
good.
at the same time, just so you know. Just it matters. I'm just saying.
Okay. Okay, yes, aren't you the same age? So that would be impossible.
Or just I would have to really, really be held back, which I'm not saying is something would have been a bad idea at the time, but still, I got thrown out of class at CCU. Yeah. So okay, continue.
So you're older than Bill, Jeff?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so I have a suggestion to you guys. I want to get to this Catholic kid thing from Friday, but on the healthcare, I would ask you, I think you could probably get her on because she either went there or taught there. Her name is Dr. Jill Vecchio, and there's another woman whose name I don't know who owns the wellness company. I would recommend you get those two on, and then one of them knows a man who gives out, very detailed, specific things we need to do on the healthcare system, and I think Vecchio has read the entire Affordable Care Act. So if you could get them on and get them pressing the GOP to get it done, that would be wise. And my suggestions are they got rid of the transcriptionists. I don't know if they've gotten rid of the coders yet. The whole coding thing needs to go. So you're going to have to terminate jobs and get rid of the pharmacy benefit managers. And that'll be a good start. You get Vecchio and the other woman and the guy on, and we'll know exactly what we need to do. And we'll just need to put in the elbow grease to get it done. And then as far as the Catholic kid on Friday, you guys cut me off before I could give my solution. I have two solutions. One is if they're going to ban you from the property and trespass you, go. I haven't been over there in a while, but I think they have a fence around it. You go outside the fence, you figure out where the people go in most of the time, and you do your free speech and saying what you want to say there. And also my understanding is there are a bunch of friars and nuns in that area. You get the nuns out there with the rulers and let them start rapping Regis on the hand with them, and you get the friars out there and have them start putting pressure on Regis, because it's unacceptable. Whether you agree with what they're saying or not, it's completely and totally unacceptable.
There you go, Stacy, with the good ideas. I appreciate your time.
Thanks,
Thank you, Stacy. All right, now it's time for News and Comment with Blake Olson.
Blake Olson.
Blake Olson, News and Comment.
Good morning. 50 and sunny. Waking up with Jeff and Bill in Denver. Expecting a high of 58 today. News sponsored by Pastor Camp Heating and Air Conditioning at 303-777-1234 to learn more about special savings opportunities on Lennox equipment. Our top story, you know what? Benny Johnson on Fox News this morning trying to continue Charlie Kirk's mission to help make owning a home more affordable. This is crucial.
This is something that is a crisis in America. It's something that Charlie talked about often. The average age of a first-time home buyer, Lawrence, is 40 years old. That's well past the optimum time for fertility. That's well past a man or a woman's ability to want to get started and get married and have a life. This is something, and it is a crisis that we must work on. We must be able to listen to our young people and hear that this is a major concern. And so we are going to be working very closely with the Trump administration and with other policy groups and announcing some major initiatives to have young people seize the American dream through home ownership, through ensuring that we have an American future for our Gen Z and Gen Alpha. And by the way, they love this country. They love freedom. They love America. They love President Trump. And they want to have this promise delivered, Lauren.
Yes. Yes. And let's stop sending money to foreign countries, okay? America only. America only. How about that? Focus on Americans. Invest in this country.
Blake, how about $2 billion in federal grants going to the Catholic charities for refugee resettlement from 2021 to 2024? You understand why the bishops are really worked up?
Yeah.
Why they put out a statement for the first time in 12 years?
Yep.
$2 billion is on the line.
Unbelievable. That is amazing. Oh my goodness. I mean, we have to do it though. We have to think about our young people and the future. And all I see is apartments. I see apartments, and I see some homes in northern Colorado, which is great. But apartments in 15-minute cities. Come on. Let's think about the future and the young people in this country. DJT now says House Republicans should vote yes when it comes to releasing the Epstein files. He says there's nothing to hide. The House expected to vote tomorrow on a measure that would force the DOJ to release all the files. The flight reduction order lifted by the FAA at DIA and at airports nationwide. Good news for travelers as we approach the big Thanksgiving break. But a reminder, once again, Thanksgiving is not this Thursday. It is a week from Thursday. All right, we got Mile High Stadium tied at 19 on Sunday. Just under 4 minutes to play. The Chiefs and the Broncos. Jaquan McMillan blitzing from the right side.
Barely beat the play clock. Here comes the blitz, and they got him back at the 14. It's McMillan for the second time in this game.
Yes, he gets there. So the Chiefs have to punt. The Broncos go to work, and they drive downfield.
Here's Nix on 2nd and 8. Going for a big throw, and it's caught by Franklin. And here's Nix.
Well, and after that, set up the winning field goal. 3 seconds to play.
Yards, Will Lutz. He's already made 4 today. Lutz in the clutch, and the Broncos have won it.
22-19. They have won 8 straight now. They're 9-2. They lead the West. Jaquan McMillan, 2 sacks, 1 interception. Here's the head coach, Sean Payton.
Their early start, first 15 type team, and I felt like, aside from some of the penalties, we did a good job in all 3 phases.
And it was all about crunch time.
We were playing in a game where the pressure was on them, and our guys responded well.
And Bo-Nose W's.
You can't really be intimidated, or there's really no sense in going out there. If you don't believe you're going to win and eventually get to the top, I feel like you just waste so much time. We work hard, and we've put together a great team to win games like tonight.
And Shedeur Sanders, he makes his NFL debut on Sunday after Dylan Gabriel was knocked out of the game for the Browns. Shedeur, 4 of 16, 47 yards, 1 interception, and the offensive line wasn't very good either. The Ravens beat the Browns, and the Ravens didn't look too good either. There are very few NFL teams that look really good right now, but the Ravens are 500, by the way, with Lamar Jackson. Mexicans are revolting against their narco-terrorist government led by President Sheinbaum, being exposed as a friend of the cartels, Chi-Coms, and the dirtiest globalists involved in Mexico, and the citizens are fighting back. Good for them. 47 in Lafayette, 49 in Littleton, 50 in Denver. And you're waking up with Jeff and Bill on News Talk 710 KNUS.
Well, temperatures are going to be cooler. They're still going to be a bit above average, but we're certainly not going to be as nice weather-wise as we've experienced lately. Partly to mostly cloudy, mid to upper 50s today. Breezy west to northwest winds, a little colder tonight, low to mid 30s. A mix of cloud, sun, 50s and lower 60s for Tuesday and Wednesday. Cloudy and cooler Thursday and Friday. For Thursday night and Friday, some rain and snow chances. Temperatures at the end of the week trending a bit colder again. I'm meteorologist Don Day in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
All right, Mr. Thorpe, for a conversation that won't be happening on anywhere else on any other show today. I'm going to make Mr. Thorpe defend the Catholic bishops.
Okay.
Now, there's a lot I appreciate about our Roman Catholic friends. I think they get a lot that's right. Some things they get wrong. This statement out was wrong. Okay? U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops putting this out on November 12th. Scrambling. This was the first time in years that they have had to release a statement. 12 years. Because it is an urgent time for them to step up. Under the regulations pertaining to statements and publications of the conference, a special message may only be issued at plenary assemblies, and they are statements which the president of the conference, the administrative committee, and the general membership consider to be appropriate in view of the circumstances at the time. Now, Bill, help me if I'm... Did the bishops put out a statement when there were 10 million illegal immigrants coming across the border?
I haven't kept up with statements, so I cannot speak to that
Yeah, I
one way
don't
or
think
another.
they did. I don't think... Well, considering it's the first time in 12 years, yeah. No, they probably... When 10 million and massive human rights violations were taking place and trafficking and Americans were being murdered, I don't remember a statement being put out by the Catholic bishops. But nope, now's the time. So what did they write? What did they say? As pastors, we, the bishops of the United States, are bound to our people by ties of communion and compassion in our Lord Jesus Christ. We are disturbed, they write, when we see among our people a climate of fear and anxiety around questions of profiling and immigration enforcement. Fear and anxiety just around questions of profiling and immigration enforcement. Why would you have fear and anxiety if you're here legally?
Wouldn't that be the profile issue? Wouldn't that be the profiling issue?
No.
Yeah, sure it would be.
Why?
Why not?
Because you're here legally.
No, you can't discern that based on someone walking down the street. How do you possibly discern whether or not an individual walking past you down the street is here legally or not?
That's you go so far as to ask them a question if you're an ICE agent? Are you here legally?
Yeah, that's the profiling issue.
I'm so sorry for the profiling that took place.
Again, but you were wondering about it. That's the issue. I'm just explaining it to you. That's the issue. That's it. That's what they're talking about. Okay,
Talk about making a mountain out of a molehill.
No, it's something that is realistic.
Profiling. You get asked if you're a legal citizen. I'm so sorry.
Oh, I know.
I'm glad that the bishops are taking the time to put out a letter about that.
We had a Black Hawk helicopter drop down over a Chicago apartment building because it was infested with gang members, and so far they haven't charged a single gang member, and they've arrested 2 that might have connections. 2. And they used a Black Hawk helicopter to drop down into drop down. So you want to talk about profiling? That's what you're talking about as far as profiling. That's it. Full stop.
They write, we are saddened by the state of contemporary debate and the vilification of immigrants. We are concerned about the conditions in detention centers and the lack of access to pastoral care. Well, bishops, have you connected with Jason Crow? Because he checks in on a weekly basis to make sure that the rice and beans are at the right temperature. I'm not sure there's a big problem with the lack or about the conditions in the detention centers. They continue, we lament that some immigrants in the United States have arbitrarily lost their legal status. We lament about the innocent Americans being murdered by, oh, no, that's not in here. Huh. We are troubled by threats against the sanctity of houses of worship and the special nature of hospitals and schools. That hasn't been taking place, by the way. They're allowed to, but that hasn't been taking place. There was a lady picked up at a daycare, but that's because she was fleeing from ICE agents and ran into the daycare. They write, we are grieved when we meet parents who fear being detained when taking their children to school, and when we try to console family members who have already been separated from their loved ones. I don't know, maybe don't come to a country illegally with your children. You won't have to worry about it. The bishops continue, despite obstacles and prejudices, generations of immigrants have made enormous contributions to the well-being of our nation. Is that the cheap labor that we all rely upon? Is that the enormous contributions?
I'm just saying that unless you have Native American blood, you're probably an immigrant. Just keep that in mind.
Yeah, I agree.
Just keep in mind. So
you think we're kicking out all the immigrants?
Hang on,
you think
but
you're going home and I'm going home?
Hold on here. They were talking about generations of immigrants making enormous contributions. The foundation of this country is based on immigrants. Seems like building this country would be enormous contributions. That's it. That's all it is. I understand what you're reading into it.
You think that's all this is? You think written this emergency proclamation, first time in 12 years, is just to remind people how great immigrants are?
I'm talking about the truth that is contained inside their statement, where you want to dismiss it based on a narrow interpretation. That's fair, but I'm just telling you the truth inside the statement.
Oh, you're removing it from the context.
No, I'm giving the truth inside.
Exactly
not at all. No. That's the context you're reading into it. But let's get to that. We'll get to that in a bit.
Catholic bishops love our country and pray for its peace and prosperity. For this very reason, we feel compelled now in this environment to raise our voices in defense of God-given human dignity. I don't think it's dignified to excuse people's illegal behavior. I think that's the exact opposite of human dignity. Catholic teaching exhorts nations to recognize the fundamental dignity of all persons, including immigrants. We bishops advocate for a meaningful reform of our nation's immigration laws and procedures. Why? Why does it need to be reformed? Because not everybody can come over? Human dignity, they write, and national security are not in conflict. Both are possible if people of goodwill work together. We recognize the nations have a responsibility to regulate their borders and establish a just and orderly immigration system for the sake of the common good, which is what we already have. You're just choosing to ignore it and then declaring that if we don't allow people to just walk across our border, we're somehow not embracing human dignity. Without such processes, immigrants face the risk of trafficking and other forms of exploitation. Safe and legal pathways serve as an antidote to such risks. We already have that. The Church's teachings rest on the foundational concern for the human person and created in the image and likeness of God, Genesis 1:27. As pastors, we look to sacred scripture and the example of the Lord himself, where we find the wisdom of God's compassion. The priority of the Lord, as the prophets remind us, is for those who are most vulnerable: the widow, the orphan, the poor, and the stranger. Zechariah 7:10. In the Lord Jesus Christ, we see the one who became poor for our sake, 2 Corinthians 8:9. We see the Good Samaritan who lifts us from the dust, Luke 10:30-37. And we see the one who is found in the least of these, Matthew 25. The Church is concerned for neighbor, and our concern here for immigrants is a response to the Lord's command to love as he loved us, John 13:34. To our immigrant brothers and sisters, they write, we stand with you in your suffering. Since when one member suffers, all suffer. You are not alone in your suffering for breaking immigration law. We note with gratitude that so many of our clergy, consecrated religious, and lay faithful already accompany and assist immigrants in meeting their basic human needs. We urge all people of goodwill to continue and to expand such efforts. We oppose the indiscriminate mass deportation of people. We pray for an end to dehumanizing rhetoric and violence, whether directed at immigrants or at law enforcement. You guys get an acknowledgement at the very end. We pray that the Lord may guide the leaders of our nation, and we are grateful for past and present opportunities to dialogue with public and elected officials. In this dialogue, we will continue to advocate for meaningful immigration reform. Now, this was passed 216 in favor, 5 votes against, 3 abstentions. Bill Catholic Charities takes in $2 billion in federal grants to serve migrants and refugees for resettlement. I have so many angles we can go on this. Let's just start with the full promotion of Christian nationalism taking place. We're a Christian nation. We should abide by teachings of Jesus, said the bishops. I don't see the progressives running around claiming that this is a inappropriate call to Christian nationalism. Your thoughts?
I think you're reading a lot into it. I don't think that while they're saying this is necessarily a Christian nation, I don't think they're calling for the church to be in charge, which is normally the pushback on the progressive side of things. So until they're calling for the church to be in charge and run the government, I think that you're reading a little bit into this, and you're looking for...
So this is just a little encouragement from the Catholics?
What do you mean, a little encouragement? I don't understand.
I mean, it's not a call to change any laws, even though it is a call to change our laws. But, I mean, you're saying I'm reading more into this. This isn't calling for the church to control things. This is just a nice idea.
I don't see them saying the church needs to control things. I don't read that into it. Maybe you read it a little bit differently. But if you do read it a little bit differently, isn't that closer to where you want things than where I want things? I mean, wouldn't you be more amenable to that idea that this would be a stronger Judeo-Christian nation going closer to those basic principles? Isn't that sort of what we want when we want to talk about putting 10 commandments into schools
Correct.
And doing prayer? So doesn't this get you closer to where you want? But now here you throw skepticism towards it. Interesting.
No, I'm just pointing out the hypocrisy of the left. I think what the United States Conference of Catholic Bishops is seeking to do is shape our public policy, which I don't have a problem with. They're welcome to do that. And I think our nation's better as a result of it. I think that there's glaring omissions in this particular letter. I just find it ironic that the left is interestingly silent about the United States Conference of Catholic Bishops encouraging our laws to reflect what I consider open border positions when any other time Christians try to speak into it. It's Christian nationalism.
And I disagree with that bromide. The idea that any other time this occurs, it's always Christian nationalism. It has to do with whether or not the church is running things. That's normally the break point.
All right, phone lines are hot. I disagree with Catholics on immigration and death penalty, and a whole lot of other theological things. I'm a Protestant. But in this case, there is glaring omissions with regards to their calls for dignity. I believe that if you're going to hold somebody to a dignified spot as a human being, you're going to uphold human dignity, then you hold them responsible for the laws they break. And if you're going to allow open borders and people to just cross the border and then claim that a country trying to enforce its borders is somehow rejecting human dignity, you got that exactly wrong from my perspective. All right, let's go to the phone lines. Mark Aurora, good morning, Mark. You're on with Jeff and Bill.
Morning.
I guess I got to say it's probably profiling, but it only makes sense if you go after the people you've identified as coming here. I mean, there were a lot of Chinese, there were a lot of people from Africa, there were a lot of people from Venezuela. So why wouldn't you try and target those groups? I mean, you're not going to go after Irishmen or something like that at the Potato Festival. I mean, it's only logical.
Well, Mark, that was the argument at the U.S. Supreme Court level when there was an effort to stop ICE from quote-unquote profiling. Asking somebody their immigration status is not arresting. You're just asking them. And if you have a majority of, this was the Trump administration's argument, if the majority of the people are coming from South America, they tend to speak a certain language.
Yeah.
They tend to work certain jobs.
Is immediately suspect from being from Canada illegally. You know, that's the way it is.
The Supreme Court agreed.
Yeah, and well, it just makes. I mean, how can you argue with just something that's completely reasonable? I mean, why profiling isn't against the law? There isn't a you can't consider somebody's race when you're trying to figure out if they did something wrong. And ICE has special powers because they're immigration and customs
Mark,
enforcement.
aren't you actually telling them they have to take someone's
illegally.
race and what they look like into consideration when you're going to try to converse with them or arrest them? And the idea being then, we've heard for years about the idea of black while driving, that people that have dark melanin get pulled over much more often than people that have lighter melanin, and then the charges that they face and the interaction with the police escalate much quicker. I go back to my friend Reggie Rivers, who said that his dad, who was serving in the military, the only time he ever saw dad legitimately scared is when a white state trooper pulled him over. And it seems to me that what you're talking about this is, well, we know these people commit more crimes, so we should be able to profile them. Are you in favor of things like black while driving then? Are you saying that we should profile all of this?
Well, I don't see the connection with driving while black.
Isn't it? It's still profiling.
That's racism. That's not profiling. That's racism.
No, it's
that's saying because of your race.
But Mark, you said here, because of their race, their language, and what they look like, we should be able to stop them and ask them if they're citizens. Isn't that exactly the same thing? We're just changing the qualifications.
Totally different.
No, ICE has the right to ask anybody about their citizenship. They have that extra power because of that's the job they do. I mean, if they see somebody jumping over the wall, they're like, oh, I can't ask this guy his citizenship.
Here's the thing. Jumping over the wall is different than someone walking down the streets of Denver. So you think ICE should be able to stop anybody walking down the streets of 16th Street Mall?
Yes.
Is ICE stopping random people walking down the
Jeff,
street?
I'm asking Mark if he thinks that's okay. I want to know how far he's going.
Okay.
Okay, there it is. That's all I'm asking, man.
Okay.
Okay,
They
so
can ask
profiling's okay.
anybody.
So I proved my point. Yes, okay, that's fine. You think profiling is okay. That at any point in time, for whatever reason, someone can say you fit a profile and they can stop you. I disagree with you.
It's happened to me.
So hold on. I want to explore this for a second, okay, Mr. Thorpe? Bill Thorpe, the ICE agent who's charged with going to find illegal immigrants, is not going to look for people based upon a language that they speak, an ethnicity of where they come from, and the types of jobs they may work. You're not going to take that into consideration. So how do you be an ICE agent, Mr. Thorpe?
Here's the thing. The idea of taking it into consideration versus profiling them are completely and totally different degrees. You disagree with me. You think it's
I don't
you think
even
it
know
is?
what that means.
What do you mean?
What do you mean? Tell me how you take that into consideration without profiling.
No, they're different degrees. The profiling is because I see you as X, I'm going to assume you're guilty. The consideration is these communities or this area seems to have more of X or Y, and so we'll take that into consideration when we're looking at law enforcement and how things go down in that area and what we're going to do. That's different. That's the difference is if we profile, then just like we talked about earlier, we show up in Chicago with a Black Hawk helicopter and drop out of the sky to take over an apartment complex that's infested with gang members, and we end up with 2 and don't charge anybody. That's the idea. Profiling recently, there was a deal recently where a man was taking his kids to school. He was stopped because he was profiled. He was put into cuffs, and so were her kids. So were the kids. 16 hours later, I think it is, or no, 32 hours later, they're finally released. That's profiling. He was an American citizen. They had the ability to check that right away. But because his name fit something else and because he looked like someone else, they held on to him. That's wrong. That's what we're happening. That's the idea of profiling. It's not that it's not that the ICE agent or the immigration enforcement was looking through and thought this guy had done anything wrong. No, he was presumed guilty instead and was detained because of it. That's the difference. That's the difference.
No, see, that's completely wrong. You can't presume somebody's guilty. You have to presume they're innocent all the time. That's the Constitution. And for somebody to have a suspicion and investigate further, that's one thing. To assume somebody's guilty, that's completely different. And that's why I disagree with you guys on this no bail stuff too. That's completely wrong also, because you're assuming somebody's guilty before they've been convicted with a jury of their peers.
Mark Aurora, appreciate the
Thank
call.
you.
Thanks so much. Mark's line will be open. Give us a call at 303-696-1971 or text us at 720-819-5115. All right, friends, let's talk L&L Heating and Air Conditioning. You've heard me say it before. When it comes to keeping your home comfortable, who you trust matters. That's why I recommend my friends at L&L Heating and Air Conditioning, a local family-owned company that truly cares about your comfort. We had them, almost a year ago now, come and install a new AC and furnace in our home, and we've been absolutely thrilled with the results. No problems whatsoever. Everything works great. Our home is more comfortable now than it's ever been before. Right now, they're offering a full furnace system evaluation for just $59.95 and a complimentary second opinion if you already got a quote from somebody else. And when you install a new furnace or AC, you'll get a free programmable thermostat, which we love, by the way, because it attaches to our phones. It's amazing. Or a carbon monoxide detector, plus no hidden charges, no trip fees, and next day installation. Their Gold Plan maintenance keeps your system running efficiently year-round, and you'll even get 1 year free with a new furnace and AC combo. I love that L&L gives back, offering discounts for first responders, military, and seniors, and treating every customer like family. So if your home's too hot or too cold, call L&L Heating and Air Conditioning because, as they like to say, you'll be comfortable with us. Visit bestdenverhvac.com. That's bestdenverhvac.com. All right, phone lines are hot. Bill, from my perspective, I think the United States Conference of Catholic Bishops is doing this to protect a $2 billion check that comes from the federal government to keep the migrant and refugee resettlement programs open when you had Americans dying, being raped and assaulted from illegal immigrants. You got no statement. Trump starts to crack down. That paycheck starts to disappear. Well, now you got the statements. Prove me wrong. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
I find it interesting that you think that this Judeo-Christian founded society and the Catholic bishops somehow now are only motivated by profit. Okay, this is fun. This is Denver's Talk Leader, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Phone line super hot. Catholic Charities collected over $2 billion in federal grants specifically for migrant and refugee resettlement during the Biden administration. Trump cutting that off, engaging in mass deportations. And what do you get? Well, for the first time in 12 years, a letter from the bishops, a special message on immigration. I guess what kind of bothers me is talking out of what appears to me both sides of your mouth. One saying, yes, of course, we embrace law and order and we expect borders. Meanwhile, if you don't accept illegal immigrants into your communities and care for them, you are not a good Christian. You got a whole list of scripture here.
Yeah, where I'm seeing they're focusing on the treatment and implementation. That seems to be where I'm reading it. That's what they're focused on, is how we are necessarily going about this. And that seems to be what they're most concerned about. And I think that's a fair critique.
Should we ask nicer to leave our country?
How about we arrest and detain the people that are the criminals that have a criminal record? Why don't we deport them? Why don't we not try to deport, as someone on the text messages pointed out this weekend, they tried to deport a Native American. How about we stop doing that? That would be a wonderful place to start, as long as we're going to start the conversation.
So open borders, Mr. Thorpe.
I'm sorry.
Just come on over. You said what? We're going to start with the criminals. Are we ever going to get to the people that actually break our immigration laws?
I'm just curious how you got from my statement into the idea that I'm advocating for open borders. Seems that you've leaped a lot of hurdles and logic
Bill,
there. I never advocated for open borders.
We talked about the people that were here illegally. I said, should we just ask them to leave, maybe nicer? You said, let's go after the criminals and those that have committed other crimes. So if the only crime you've committed is being here illegally, you can stay?
We can talk about what to do with those after we get rid of the criminals.
Why?
Because,
why not go for them now?
Because just as you started with this idea of these people that were robbing, raping, and killing people in America, how come it's so hard to focus on them first? Why is that too much to ask? That maybe if that's the reason that you were so scared and want these people out of there, why is it so difficult to ask to focus on them first? Doesn't seem to be a difficult thing to do.
There's no second in your universe.
We're
never going to get to second.
That's an assumption made by you.
Tell me, when do we get to them? When all of the rapists and murderers are gone? When all of them? Is that
who's the second tier?
Then
What's the second tier? Is it just everybody else that's here illegally?
I don't live in Bill Thorpe's universe. So help me understand who the second tier is.
Wait. You can't do that. You can't sit here and say, well, when do we get to the second tier? And then you tell me you have no idea what the second tier is. You can't define it and then tell me you don't know what it is. You're the one that gave me
you're the one who said first, Mr. Thorpe.
You're the one that defined it that way. No.
You're the one who said first. No. And I'm asking who second is, and you're saying because I don't define second. All right, let's get to Thomas in Denver. Good morning, Thomas. You're on with Jeff and Bill.
Morning.
Hey, good morning. I got a question with that exchange. I got a question. If we're going after a bad guy and he's hiding out in a person's house that's also just illegal, and they go in and arrest this guy, do they take the person that's harboring him as well?
If the person's a fugitive, that we'd have rules and regulations on that. Sure, we'd have laws about that. Yeah.
Well, what I'm saying is if somebody comes across the border and they hide out in somebody else's house, or they let him in. You see what I'm saying? They're harboring him.
Here's the issue, though, is where you and I are going to disagree on this, Thomas, is the level of criminality based on crossing the border. Because right now in our legal system, we define that as a misdemeanor. And so I have a hard time saying that someone else is going to be held responsible for harboring when the crime is a misdemeanor. That's where I diverge from you on that one.
So harboring a criminal is a misdemeanor.
No. I'm saying when the criminal has committed a misdemeanor, it's difficult then to get them for harboring someone else because the crime that was committed is considered a misdemeanor. That's a harder thing to do, to say you're harboring a criminal. It's a difficult thing to close when you're taking someone to charges and going to charge them with that in court, because you're going to look in front of a judge or a jury and they're going to say, but the person did a misdemeanor. Is that on the continuum of what we're worried about in society? Is that it? And that's why it's harder to get them for harboring. Personally, I'm just telling you that's how the system works.
Okay, so, all right, and I'll say this and then close that subject if I can. I'm born and raised USA, and if I harbor somebody that crossed the border illegally and is wanted, a criminal, if they snatch him up and he's in my house and I'm in my house, I go away as well because I'm harboring a criminal.
Not if you're a pastor of a church.
Yeah, well, yeah. It's Father Thomas. What do you know? But you know, I think that they're gonna take some of these people away that are our citizens, and I'll just use a example, Hispanic. You know, if there's nothing clandestine anymore. You know, these guys come in, they're going to go get 2 people, and then when they show up, there's 50 people with flags. You know, and then how do you sort through these people? You know what I mean?
Thomas, great call. I appreciate it. Thanks so much,
Thanks,
Thomas from Denver. All right, let's talk advanced hair restoration. If you're losing your hair and desire to have it back, then Advanced Hair Restoration has the easiest guaranteed solution. Their simple one-day treatment offers life-changing results. I've seen it with my own eyes. Guys, it's not magic, but close to it. They put hair where you need it the most, and bam, it grows. It's actually science. Advanced Hair has it all. Top-rated Dr. Tanya Pauls, modern technology, and best of all, you get your own natural hair that begins regrowing the very next day. Advanced Hair even guarantees it will grow for life. So schedule your free consultation now, 720-459-HAIR. If you qualify, you'll get $250 off and 250 free hair grafts. Advanced Hair is the winner of Westward's Best of Denver, and it's changed the lives of tens of thousands of people. So don't wait. Check out their before and afters online for yourself, 720-459-HAIR or advancedhair.com. By the way, somebody was texting me over the weekend. What was the name of that hair company? Here you go. AdvancedHair.com, AdvancedHair.com. We'll continue. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader, News Talk 710, KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Phone lines hot, text messages hot as we discuss the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops putting together an emergency letter, special message on immigration, essentially slamming the strong-handed approach the Trump administration is taking to immigration issues in this country. Let's go to Jay in Wheat Ridge. Good morning, Jay. You're on with Jeff and Bill.
Morning.
Taylor didn't think that was too hot. I'd love to have opinions on it.
Oh, I don't think Jay. Are you there? Jay.
Yeah.
Hey, Jay. There you are, man. We got you here on the Jeff and Bill Show. What's on your mind?
Oh, a couple of things on your profiling. First of all, the being pulled over while black has been debunked so many times it's not funny, so that's not really legitimate. But if somebody that looks like me goes and robs a bank in a truck that looks like mine, should they start pulling over minivans with women driving them, or should they?
Yeah, Jay. Research has shown that driving by black is a real thing. You can disagree with it, but research has shown it is a real thing.
Well, stats are stats, brother. Why don't you look them up? Tom Martino, Peter Boyles, everybody's been through it 1,000 times. I've listened to these stuff over and over and over. It's just not.
Jay, yeah, it does exist. I'm
But
sorry.
how do you find somebody if you don't know, if you're not looking for the people that fit the description? How would you do it?
Bill's
What do
going to
you
be heading to
suggest?
Cherry Hills for his immigration enforcement, although that might not be a bad idea. All right, we'll continue. We'll be back. You're listening to Jeff and Bill.
See you tomorrow, KNUS.